Okay, yeah. Now we are live on YouTube, and this is a time where I could say, Sat Shri Akal, everyone. We have
Sashika.
non-members and the guest. My name is Kuljit Singh Marwa. Professionally, I'm a action coach. I work for freedom and happiness for the people. I work for corporate also and working on their processes and all to get the profitability. In WSCC, I got two responsibilities. One is a global director for education, and second is a global director for networking, where I am responsible for extending our WSCC family, and wherever the new chapters are coming, I'm involved there. So I initiate that. And today I am the webinar moderator of the World Sikh Chamber of Commerce. So it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to this learning and development session started by World Sikh Chamber of Commerce. WSCC is a worldwide non-profit Sikh networking platform comprising Sikh businessmen, professional entrepreneurs, and startups. We thank Almighty Vaheguru Ji for providing us this opportunity to serve and empower others. Through this initiative, we intend to invite industry experts who will help you to develop new skills by sharing their insights and experience on different subjects. We are hopeful that you will all learn and grow from these sessions organized by WSCC for the benefit of society at large. WSCC is strongly aligned with the core objective to help in the growth of economy and nation building. WSCC strives to promote Sikhs from different parts of the world through strong ideas and fellow members. In today's session, our member speaker will address effective negotiation skills in professional and personal life. Ms. Swarleen Kaur is a personality coach, public speaking coach, image consultant, three-time TEDx speaker, UN speaker, and awardee and nominee of Padma Shri Award 2023. She is the founder of Uttarakhand's first specialty school, the and has experience in more than 20 years in education and training industry, having worked as an educator in various ICSC and CBSE schools. He understood where the gap lied, which has rendered students incapable of reaching their utmost potential. That is what led to her vision and institutional where she could bring forth self assured individuals who are well versed with the impersonal, interpersonal as well as the intrapersonal skills. Ms. Swarleen is also advisory board member at Indo-Canadian Education Council, empowering Indian students to study across the world through free counseling and support. Her book, Good Vibes Make Good Lives. Good Vibes Make Good Lives. Inks positivity on every sheet so that everyone can smear themselves with the same feeling. Besides, she is an international public speaker with numerous accolades to her credit. She is path breaker, shunning stereotypes and pursuing her entrepreneurial journey with the great zeal and passion. Her handwork and hard work and determination, weaved with the integrity and the compassion, has manifested into a string of achievements. She is working as a consultant for GID College, working as personality coach consultant for Shivalik College of Engineering, external examiner for Graphic Era Hill University, working as mentor at Balika Vidyalaya National NGO, working as personality coach at DOR Foundation NGO, education coordinator at BNI Uttarakhand, secretary and charter member at TIE, their nominee Padma Shri Award 2022 also, awarded by the United Nations for working in the education section 2023, awarded by London Book of World Records for communication skill 2021, awarded by All India Radio for Personal Development Coach 2021, awarded by News X Channel for work in the development of personality 2021, champion and international public speaking champion 2019. So let's welcome our member speaker for today evening, Swarleen Kaur. So Swarleen ji, welcome, and stage is yours. People are waiting for you.
Thank you so much for a lovely and a long introduction. Sat Shri Akal to everybody. I've been long associated with WSCC, and I think 2020, I did my first keynote for WSCC. So I'm back here, and it's just like coming back home. Thank you so much, Kuljit ji, for giving me such a wonderful opportunity that I can talk to you today. It just seems like, it's face to face now. So living in this hybrid model, that's what we've, learned all throughout. So today, when I talk about negotiation skills, I will not take more time in, talking, about here and there. I think I should come to the point. And when I say negotiation skills, do we understand where does this first negotiation start from? The very first negotiation that starts from. Now, there's a beautiful song in Hindi. A beautiful song where a child is telling all the adults, "Chota bacha jaan ki humko na satana re." Right? Now, here is where the first negotiation starts, where the child tells us, "No, I'm not going to take it." And that's where the sweet candy appears from, disguised that you do this and you get this. The negotiation starts right when we are so small and so young, even to understand what would be the spellings for negotiation, isn't it? Today, when I talk about negotiation, what is negotiation? I think my screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, visible.
All right, thank you. So when I talk about negotiation, how do we define negotiation? What are negotiation skills, and how do these negotiation skills change the entire perception of being an entrepreneur, being a professional, and what is its importance really in our lives? How do we make sure that we are making a good negotiation? So by that way, negotiation involves two or more than two parties. As I said, a child is only convinced when you offer him a candy and then he tells you that, all right, I'm going to obey you. That's where the first negotiation had already begun. He knows in aid of this, I'm going to get this. It involves two or more parties with the competing or conflicting interests, could be with the needs working towards an agreement, and how in future it is going to cooperate. So when I talk about this negotiation, it's a beautiful skill which can be implemented and brought very nicely and combined with your selling skills. When I talk about selling skills, we all here to sell. As an entrepreneur, we want the first thing is sell, sell, and sell. And when we have to sell this, what comes defined is how do I negotiate so that the best comes in place? How do I make that momentum where I understand what is the need of the customer? So why this session today? When we were discussing like what should the session be like, and Kuljit ji came up, no, negotiation is something very nice. I think everybody would like to hear about it. So let's say, all right, let's talk about this. Why negotiation? Negotiation is actually needed to resolve an intrapersonal or maybe an interpersonal conflict. So as we mentioned in our topic, it is about the personal and the professional way of how we are doing this negotiation. When I talk about intrapersonal, when we make decisions in life, every moment is like making a choice. When we make decisions in our life, there are a lot of moments when we talk to our own selves. Intraperson, we come out with one result, We negotiate with our own selves. This is going to give me a lot of profit. This could be adding value. And then we are in a conflict. And then we come out of that conflict management, doing that management and telling, oh, yes, let's negotiate here. And that's the result. Similarly, there are a lot of interpersonal conflicts from a person to person, a party to party, and engagement to engagement. Could be a lot of disagreements in a team, could be a lot of clash of interests. It is something that we do all the time, whether it's with a child, whether it's with my team member, whether it is with my own self. The aim of negotiation is to explore the situations, find the solution, which is acceptable to both the parties. So when I talk about negotiation, here I'm sitting to find a solution, which also includes one of my prime skills, which is problem solving. Whenever I have to do a problem solving and I negotiate, what is the best negotiation that can happen is acceptance by both the sides. One who is negotiating, one, the major party, and could be the other whom we have approached. The beauty of negotiation is only a human being negotiates. We've not seen animals, negotiating. When faced with a large predator, they will never ask for negotiation. Oh, all right, I'll bring you another animal. You do not eat me. I could not be your prey. They will just run away. Ironically, this beauty becomes a task at times when it comes to negotiation, because it isn't taken as easy as any other skill. Because here, there are two parties involved. So that involvement also brings on my team building factor. So as we always say, when we talk about the soft skills, when we talk about persona, when we talk about personality, all the skills are interdependent on each other. So when I talk about negotiation, I mean, I know how to do a team. I know how to sell. I know how to be empathetic. So that is why I call it the beauty for a human being. Negotiation does not always mean argument. I still remember two entrepreneurs who were negotiating and could not come to any conclusion. They came for help and we got the settlement done there. So was it easy for you? I said, no. But the most beautiful thing about it was the problem was not as large as we were expecting. It's not about fighting. It's not about shouting. It's not about getting angry. Because remember, we are negotiating maybe over a project, over a product, but we're not negotiating with a person. There has to be a feature to negotiate about. So we as human beings definitely cannot run away. And that is why it is called the most difficult job a person has to do. So it requires not only a good business judgment, but yes, a keen understanding of human nature. Surprisingly, a lot of us do not know that negotiation skill has a lot to do with our psychological aspect, our emotional aspect, our behavior. When we analyze our behavior, negotiation is one part. So there are two kinds of main negotiations that we talk about. The distributive negotiation, also called as positional or a hand bargaining negotiation, which tends to approach negotiation on the model of haggling in a market. In this distributive negotiation, each side, in fact, often they adopt an extreme position, knowing that it will not be accepted. Just as I gave you an example, two entrepreneurs wanted to collaborate, but they could not come to the terms because one party who had to invest a lot of money could not come down to accept that I will have to listen to the other person. So one at the extreme position, knowing that it will not be accepted, and then employs a combination of bluffing and the brinksmanship in order to see it as possible before reaching a deal. When we do further talk about the different types of negotiations, we are going to study how this brinksmanship is going to, it'll be a leading situation when we do these negotiation skills. Also to note, when I talk about distributive negotiation, why do we call it a positional thing? Why? Because it talks about that position, one in the extreme position. So each side has its extremity, whereas we do not talk about extremities in negotiation. It does not work well. Sometimes then it becomes a win-lose situation because one person is tend to gain a lot and the other person is at a loss. It often involves people who had never had previous interactive relationships, just like buying a car. Let's say, for an example, if you go and buy a car, you will definitely go there because you need this car. Let's take it as a psychological aspect. I have come to the showroom because I want this car. That's my desire. So here the person who is in the another extreme knows that you've come to buy this car. So this is the first time you must be interacting with them. And maybe, the next time you may not want to have the same car. So that's where much of negotiation may not be possible. Could be definitely a win-loss situation that this is what we offer. The other negotiation, when we talk about this negotiation, also called as interest-based or principled negotiation, it talks about the set of techniques that attempts to improve the quality and likelihood of the negotiated agreement. Now, providing an alternative to traditional distributive negotiation techniques. So when I talk about distributive negotiation, we assume that there is a fixed amount of value, which is to be divided between the parties. Integrative negotiation attempts to create value in the course of negotiation. So it's like it has a lot of scope to expand that pie. And then there's a lot of things that could be said, understood, because it focuses on the underlying interests of the party rather than their arbitrary starting positions. So it approaches negotiation as a shared, like here, we are talking about both the parties who are showing this interest. So the word integrative implies cooperation. When we talk about collaboration, when we talk about cooperation, integrative negotiation often involves a high degree of trust. And then it's also a forming of the relationship, which is also called as a win-win negotiation for both the parties. There are different kinds of negotiations that we do. When we are in this process of negotiation, as you see on the screen, competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating. As the word competing itself states, where we are competing with the other party, when we are telling them that this is me and this is what my product is, and you compete with the other party, that means here there is no kind of a collaboration happening. We are ahead of the others. That's how we take it. And we are not driven by the result that I'm going to lose, I'm going to win. We are stuck on to that model that I'm going to compete with this. The negotiation here is, I have my. On the other hand, when I talk about collaboration, as the word itself states, both the parties have that mutual understanding, mutual designing of the negotiation of the talk that they come on to, wherein it is a win-win situation. Sometimes it's a compromise. Many a times, let's say for an example, somebody is in the need, dire need to sell off a property. And the property dealer knows that he wants to sell it. The other person may have to compromise on the rates because of the need of the hour. He may have to compromise because he does not land into that win-win situation and is easily able, and he's able to, give up on that. So there one wins and one loses. Sometimes we are not at all negotiating. It's a zero negotiation, which we call as avoiding. Just even before the negotiation has started, we start avoiding that negotiation because we think we are not in the position to negotiate with the other team or the person or the member we are going to talk to, and we start avoiding that. So that's a zero negotiation where nothing even in fact happens, and there's a complete win-lose situation happening. And the last one is accommodating. When I accommodate myself in terms of others, it's all right. To some of the conditions we may apply to their statements. We accommodate ourselves to in the picture what the other is showing to us. Again, quite a win-lose situation happens here. So here we also build that relationship sometimes in the collaboration negotiation. What do we mean by accommodating? See, individuals who enjoy solving the other problems and then preserving personal relationships. Accommodators are very sensitive to the body language, to the verbal signals, to the parties. They'll easily get you. If the non-verbal cues are not clear, they're going to get you. They can, however, they're taken that advantage of situation when other party, it places the emphasis on relationship. So when we talk about accommodating, it's a win-lose situation. Avoiding, as I said, individuals who do not like to negotiate, they don't do it unless at least warranted. They try to defer and they do not want to get into the confrontational aspects of negotiation, where they play quite tactful and diplomatic. Collaboration, where both the negotiators, they enjoy because they are solving their tough problems into a creative zone. Collaboration, as they say, 2 C's are going to work in the next term: collaboration and communication. So collaborators are using good communication, good negotiation, so that they understand the concerns and interests of other parties. Here, the emotional intelligence is at the highest. Here, the empathy is at the highest. So it becomes a win-win situation. However, there could be some problems which could come up when we transform the simple situations into a little complex one. But then again, it comes to a mutual discussion. Competing is an opportunity to win over something. I have that aspect of winning over something, and I have a very strong instinct that whatever negotiations, whatever strategic negotiations happen, I'm going to dominate. The bargaining process is quite hard here, and the competitive negotiations, they often neglect the importance of relationship building. So competing, as I said, it's good to collaborate rather than compete. Individuals who are eager to close the deals, with even getting what is fair, just the equal. Compromises can be useful when there is limited time to complete the deal. However, as I said, if I'm in a rush to sell my property, I may compromise on it. If there is a need, if there is an urgency, in that negotiation process, concessions are made pretty quickly, and the bargaining also becomes very, very easy. So as I said, competitive style, it could be the gain. It could be one person's gain. Accommodating style, yielding to other side. Avoiding, evading all negotiation situations. Compromising is coming to the conclusion by meeting in the middle of something. And collaboration is when we explore the interests of both the sides. What do we mean when we talk about position versus interests in our negotiation agreements? What is position? Let's understand this. It's a statement about what you want to happen. Very interesting, here. It is one solution to a problem. Example, let's say you should get rid of your dog. The office definitely should buy a new printer. So that's a position, just a solution to a problem. On the other hand, what is an interest? The needs or the needs underlying a position. So let's say the position is you should get rid of your dog. The underlying interest, because I need to get more sleep, but your barking dog makes that difficult. The office definitely should buy a new printer. What is the underlying interest? We are afraid that we won't have enough money to keep fixing on the printer, which keeps breaking down so soon. So good printout is something we like. So we've got to understand what happens. Knowing the interest helps to open the dialogue to more potential solutions. When we talk about I need to get more sleep, but your barking dog does not make me sleep. So now the possible solutions could be, all right, just get rid of the dog. Keep the dog indoors in identified times. Move it to the pen to the other side because of the house if possible, and make an effort to train the dog. So I have here known the interest, which could open up a little more negotiation. So what is it the best you could do? I've come up with a lot of options. So here it could be a lot of possible solutions. So whenever we talk about something, we have to understand, whenever we've got to negotiate, we've got to understand what is the interest that lies behind, and to which there could be a lot of potential solutions. And that's where negotiation happens. And how do we go for this negotiation? The first thing is preparation is very important. Your prep can decide, is the negotiation going to be successful? Have you actually studied about your negotiation and knowing the other party? As we say, behind success is a lot of preparation and practice. And the same goes here with negotiation skills. When you have to go for negotiation and you have identified, prepared yourself with your team, what you are going to negotiate on, how you are going to negotiate, why this negotiation is important for your firm, who are you going to negotiate with, is your second step. Do you know the party? Where does this come from? How much negotiation is possible with them? Are they a little tough nut to crack? Understand the big picture. Know about your other party. Know what is their desire. Know what is their need. Understand what is their demand. Understanding the big picture is going to put you in a position which is quite easy to be negotiating. Identify the objectives. You've got to get to the interest of the party. If you do not get into that interest, you may not have that possible solutions. So that interest, as I said, getting that possible solutions for yourself, if A doesn't work, plan B does. Plan B doesn't work, plan C works. Plan C does not work, plan D works. Do I have that list of solutions? If not, it's important for me to understand that how important it is, because it will set the tone right. It will definitely lead to an open dialogue. It will definitely lead to a good communication. And that's where the exchange of information begins to happen. Focus on the objectives. Focus on the interests that the other person has, because you've got to use those strategies that we will be talking about ahead in the session, the tactics and the counter tactics. Make counter offers. And that will come from if you know the interests. Document agreement or walk away. So you have to understand that in the need of the hour, my interests have to be looked upon, isn't it? Interest is one important thing. When you come prepared with this, how do you conduct it? The first step is determine who has the authority, whom you are going to connect with. Prepare the facilities. Use an agenda. Introduce your team. Set the tone right. You've already pre-prepared yourself. Now exchange. Focus on the objectives. Use the strategy. Make the counter offers. And then document or just walk away. We look at the two aspects of negotiation objectives. One is the buyer's negotiation objective, where he acquires necessary supplies and services of the desired quality on time and at the lowest reasonable price. So any buyer, if I have to buy a car, I will look at which is that firm which is going to offer me the lowest reasonable price, or if not the lowest reasonable price, what is the added on benefit that I could take from them? I'm definitely go and talk to them. Establish and administer a price arrangement that results in payment of a fair and reasonable price. Because what is the satisfaction here? It's the needs of the end user. Any buyer will look at the needs of the end user, the customer that they have. On the other hand, when I talk about the seller's negotiation objectives, it will be definitely profitability in the long term. The market share and satisfying again the need of the customer. Different negotiation tactics that we talk about: auction, brinksmanship, go-gate, chicken, defense in depth, which we are going to take one by one. When we talk about negotiation strategies, so at the table, what counts the most is the negotiation strategy, what strategy you are going to hold on, and the communication skills. How are you going to communicate? How much empathy you're going to, show? And what comes in best is the listening. Perhaps the best strategy to adopt while the other side lets off steam is to listen quietly without even responding to their attacks. You often get more through listening by finding out what the other person wants than you do by your clever arguments, supporting what you need. So the standard techniques of good listening are to pay close attention to what is said, to ask the other party to spell out carefully and clearly exactly what they mean, and to request their ideas to be repeated if there is any ambiguity. So we as person have to, see what is important, the feelings and the emotions received from the others through their body actions. Symbolic, or could be vibes, could be a paralanguage, how something is said instead of what is said directly. The facial expression, the body gestures, the dress up, everything has to be taken care of. If I am not in that position to take care of it, I might lose on my end. So what is my body language when I'm negotiating? If I'm avoiding the eye contact, I'm showing that lack of confidence in bargaining position. If I'm making excessive eye contact, it must feel like I'm trying to bully or intimidate. If I'm fiddling with the objects like my hair, the pencil, the paper, it definitely shows my lack of confidence in bargaining position. Crossing and uncrossing my legs, there's like a lot of impatience. So whenever we talk about our body language, it is important for us to understand, am I in that position? Isn't it? So my body language, a nervous laugh could be not the matching situation. My positive words, but negative body language. If someone asks their negotiation partner if they're annoyed and the person pounds their fist and responds sharply, what makes you think anything is bothering me? So when my body language is not in sync with my verbs, my verbal language and my non-verbal language do not fit in well, the negotiation could be a hard nut to crack. When my hands are raised in a clenched position, it could be really difficult. Am I smiling? It's a signal that I'm holding back a negative kind of attitude. I cannot be sitting with just like not even responding. I could not be just sitting in like a demeanor of I mean a lot. So that kind of attitude would not give an impulse to the person sitting next to you that whether or not this person could not be open to it. That the face, the eyes, it makes a plenty of eye contact that we do. It gives your person, it conveys that idea that there is more interest in the person than in what is being said. And on the other hand, non-receptive negotiators make little to no eye contact. Their eyes may be squinted, jaw muscles totally clenched, head turned slightly away from the speaker, which will definitely give that kind of a notification to your person, negotiator, that you're not interested. Receptive negotiations. Sitting with legs together, one leg slightly in front of other. When standing, they distribute weight evenly and place their hands on the hips with the body and tilted toward the speaker. So non-receptive negotiator stands with the legs crossed, pointing away from the speaker. Whenever we talk about, these negotiators, the receptive negotiator will always have the body language where he's accepting, where he's listening, where he's tilted towards the speaker. Just like when we stand on the stage, When I go towards my audience, I'm moving towards the downward position on the stage. The more I recede away from the audience is the upward situation. Similarly, in the communication, where negotiation is concerned, a receptive negotiator will be tilted towards. A non-receptive negotiator will lean back in their chair, keep their suit to the bottom, and appear to be not there. So a receptive negotiator tends to appear relaxed with their hands open, palms visibly displayed, which says, bring it on. Because that's showing the receptivity. The negotiators should spread arms and open on the table, relaxed on their laps. Because negotiators show poor receptivity when their hands are clenched, crossed, positioned in front of their mouth. I cannot be speaking like this. Could be my attitude, could be my lack of confidence, rubbing, just like I do not even matter. I am not getting it clear. Because one thing is certain, you cannot underestimate your power. Most people tend to have more power than they even think. Your base of power rests on a foundation of more than just competition on financial matters. Commitment, knowledge, risk-taking, hard work, and negotiations are real sources of power. So we've got to make a systematic analysis of these resources, and you can understand your strengths. So when I talk about these different negotiations, whether it is my situation of keeping a good body language, if I talk about how to initiate, I just do not assume that the other party knows my weakness. Rather assume that they do not. You may be better off even than you think. So most of the negotiation will require some concession making. Don't set your initial demand near your final objective. You can't be doing that. There is sufficient evidence to conclude that it pays to start high. It's a negotiation we've got to understand is a shameless ask. Don't be shy about asking for more. Many a times, it could be a very modest one or too easy to achieve, even easier than what we could have even dreamt of. However, how much ever you are prepared, something unforeseen always comes up in most of the negotiations. Though we come with a lot of prep, there could be last minute changes that happen. And diplomatic negotiations, they are usually 10% conference, 90% timeout, whereas most business deals reverse this time relationship. So whenever this negotiation, it comes up, a timeout is called for. It might just be a caucus with your own self. So let me give you an example here. When Mukul and Mr. Narendra wanted to buy an office for them, this person, Mukul, was pretty interested in an office in the most, business hub area, where he thought that it could be the right place. But the budget constraints would not let him have this office. Mr. Narendra had almost given up. Almost a 50 lakhs office was out of his budget as a startup. But Mukul would not give up. Now here Mukul said that I have to talk to this person, this mediator. He will set it something right and he will somewhere get the negotiations down. So when they went in for the first thing, the 50 lakh was too much of an amount. When Narendra said that we are done and we cannot afford it, Mukul said, I think I can come back to you. Think more about it. Now he had almost left this person on a positive note that there could be somewhere where this negotiation could go ahead rather than making a full stop. The next day, Mukul went on for a search. He met a lot of people near that hub, asked them how much did they get it for, what was the circle rate, did a lot of study. Now, he was preparing himself for the pre-negotiation. He was doing that pre-negotiation so that he could conduct a negotiation in a nice manner. After 2 through 3 days of entire research, he comes to this middleman and tells him, I think we can talk. So in another building, we get the same office for 42 lakhs, which is not a bad deal. In case you think you can do something about it, let's sit and talk. The middleman sat with him, and to somewhere they reached around 47 lakhs for the same building, which they were proposing to be at 50. He says, all right, this is not my decision. I have to go and talk to my partner. Let's come out with a conclusion and let's set up a meeting. The next meeting that they do, here, Mr. Narendra and Mr. Mukul come together, sit with the middleman again, the third time, and Mr. Mukul says, all right, so I told Mr. Narendra about the deal, and 47 lakhs, he says, is too much. I may not be able to do the deal. This middleman, understanding the situation, says, no, nothing less than that we can offer you. This is the last and the final thing. And Mr. Narendra gets up, quite heated, and his body language quite stiff. And he just stands up and says, oh, we are done with it. I told you this is not going to materialize. It's like wasting of time. And he just leaves with the bank. Mr. Mukul says, all right. By the time I just get him and let me see what he gets to the last thing. Could you do something in the meantime? I would be really interested. Now, here they were playing the strategy of a good guy and a bad guy. One kind of a negotiation where one role was taken up by Mr. Mukul, who could be a good guy, and the other role taken up by Mr. Narendra, who was playing that bad guy, that I do not mean business with you. Here, one thing was very important. Mukul, who was playing that role, he goes out after Mr. Narendra. Meanwhile, the middleman again calls his boss to let him know if there could be any possibility. Finally, he comes back and says, Mukul comes back and says, Mr. Narendra says, nothing more than 42 lakhs. The middleman sticks on to 45. And the meeting ends up with again a statement, all right, let me come back to you. Now the deal is again happening. They're again trying to build that relationship. The next day, Mr. Mukul calls this middleman and says, I have something to talk about. Can we meet again? And then this fourth meeting happens. He says, well, Mr. Narendra has a point. The building right opposite to this building has this office on the 8th floor. And I think it could be a good bargain. The last that we could do was 43. Could we agree on that? And the deal gets done in 44. There were so many negotiation tactics which Mukul adopted. With every situation, there could be a different tactic which we have to apply. So coming back to how important it is, whether it's a brinksmanship negotiation, where one party is superior to the other and says, it's my say. The good guy, bad guy technique, where one person acts as a good person and the other acts as a negative person. It could be also a technique where one wants to collaborate. It could also be a technique where one person says that I am all setting in for what you want out of me. One technique could be just collaboration. All right, you give me on this and I take it on this. Any technique could work wonders. And there's no one technique. There's no one tactic that we, see around negotiation happening. It's a plethora of kind of negotiations that we see happening around us when we do this kind of negotiation. What suits us the most is the compatibility between the two parties. How does it offer us the best? Is understanding, am I able to get close, even closer to what is the need of the other person? Maybe one person may understand, the other may not. What we have to understand is what negotiation technique I'm going to apply. So if I say auction, it becomes very simple. I have a product, there are buyers to buy it, and what I get is one who's selling it wants the best price. One who's buying it wants the most of the value. So the auction negotiation, as we see now auctions happening, the best bargain gets it. Similarly, when we talk about brinksmanship, one is superior. When we talk about a bogey negotiation, where the deadlines do not meet, even there's no kind of a confrontation also happening, it's like going waste. Defense in depth. Sometimes we talk about, no, this is the last thing I could do. I do not have any other option. If I do not meet this requirement, I'm done with it. I am not doing any kind of negotiation. The last is, let me ask my boss. When somebody tells you, okay, let me come back. That is my defense. I want to get away from there for some time, and I use this defense technique. Sometimes it's the deadlines. We just give a deadline. All right, within 2 days, sir, if you come up with this project, it's okay. Otherwise, let me move ahead. Now, that deadline negotiation builds another party under that pressure. So that deadline will undoubtedly matter to him. Could be a win-lose situation again. A good guy or a bad guy technique. As I said, one person, one team member plays a good guy's role. The other does a bad guy. The nibble. Quite interesting when you start on nibbling on one fact. As the goats or the herds, they nibble on grass. Slowly, gradually keeping on and, entering the space. I remember one of my clients doing this with a corporate. When he was from an IT sector, came into the industry to repair 2 or 3 of their computers, gradually did some interesting work for them, getting into a contract where he could do a lot of computers, an order of, let's say, 500 computers on his kind of negotiation, which is like a win-win situation. People there were getting the services along with, computers. Now, this guy told him, you buy computers from me, 2 years service I give you free. He's entered the market. He's almost in a win-win situation. It is like a nibble situation.
Swarleen, you are on mute now.
I'm sorry. It got just hit the button. So if we've got to be how much we are prepared, is there something unforeseen? It will always come up in negotiations. Remember, we've got to go prepared. Remember, there are different types of tactics that we could apply. Remember, there could be a lot of win-lose situations or win-win situations, but you've got to be very cautious when you make a negotiation, because it could be deviating also. Not to deviate is one good mantra for going prepared, conducting the way you have thought of, and being present. Being mindful in negotiations is one good technique that you must follow to win over any negotiation that you go for. And remember, this negotiation has to be for you a win-win situation. Keep in mind the interests so that it opens to a lot of potential solutions. You are going to negotiate for the outcome of the product. You have to be result oriented. You have to be solution oriented. It's not the problem that you see in a person, but it's the feature that you're going to talk about and then take out the solution from it. So dialogue and communication are 2 different aspects which will definitely make it sure that you give the best in the negotiation skills. Happy negotiating, and hope you have a wonderful time when you negotiate the next time. Thank you so much.
That's really awesome. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
You upgraded our skills for negotiation. And one thing I really picked up and really convinced about it, it is more to listen than to speak. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. Because,
So,
we mistaken by this thing that, more speaking will do it. I think, in fact, more listening is going to help you, because
That's
when
the
you
point.
listen,
True,
you're
true.
going to take the point out there.
Yeah, that's a hidden success point which we
Yes.
here.
Absolutely.
And now anybody has a question here? Manmeet ji, Apreet ji, Seema ji.
Yeah, Swarleen ji, it was a great session. I learned a lot of things, I would say. Being into sales from last 25 years, still we are learning. And you're very right, the patience is the key to listen. Sometimes what happens is we have the customer or the other party who actually stonewalls all kind of discussions. This happens sometimes, like it's on price or it's kind of delivery or something like that. Then they say that, "Bhai, itna hi hai, aap take it or leave it." So what we have seen is sometimes the strategy of patience works, but sometimes just leaving it aside also sometimes works. So it depends on the need, how much hunger is there, whether it's our need or not.
Yes, absolutely. Because we've got to see that what is the desired result, what is the outcome? Is it helping me? Is this negotiation leading me to that win-win situation? Right. And sometimes, yes, see, all negotiations are never fruitful. There are some which will mature, there are some which will not mature. But certainly, I think one day or the other, if it is going to happen, it will.
Yeah.
We just cannot say a goodbye, a forever goodbye to anything. The
Yeah.
doors have to remain open. The interest is what is the main objective that has to be kept in mind. So could be coming back also.
Very true, very true. I understand. So the dialogue has to be always open. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Just wanted to come in also. What I learned probably is there's not one skill that works all the time. It does not fit every time all the people. Yes, the door should be open. I think listening skill is a great skill. We're into language training, but I think that's being into operations and dealing with people. Listening skills make a lot of sense. People want others to listen, and if you do that for them, it will be a great deal. That's what I know. Third is each time you negotiate and you fail, I think you learn what to do, what not to do next time rather than what to do. So all these things definitely help. And if you keep it like being ready with things, going prepared in any case, in whatever situation works. So thanks for putting it across in a very nice way, ma'am. It was really a great learning experience.
Thank you so much. I'm honored. Thank
So
you.
Seema ji is saying something. Seema.
Thank you, Swarleen ji. Wonderful session. You not only covered, the theory part of it, as in what actually happens, but also the psychology part of it, which is very, important to understand. Some are seen, some are unseen stuff, and that's also very important. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So anybody else has a question? Anybody wanted to say something about the session?
Yes, wonderful session. So, Alinji, I really agree with you. Learning is a lifelong process. And one thing I would like to add, which you said, that before we speak, body language speaks,
Yes.
right? Yeah, it speaks louder than words.
Yeah.
So that matters.
Absolutely.
I appreciate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for this wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think when you communicate with anybody, for that matter, it's your communication skills that you bring out even before you get into the room. You just give a handshake. You just pass a smile. I think half of the work is done. It's already started to happen. Right. So that's what is important. We've got to understand why non-verbal cues. So the theory of speaking says that 93% is non-verbal cue. Isn't it?
True.
That 93%, how
Yes.
important it is. What are we doing when we are negotiating? We are communicating, isn't it? What is the best way to communicate? Because, as the philosophy says, we do not hate a person. We can hate an idea. We can hate a proposal, but it's not about hating an person. What we are fighting for is a outcome, a project or a product or a service, whatsoever for that matter. We cannot hate a person. So that empathy, till it remains, a negotiation is always a win-win thing.
So, Swarleen, here I want to refer. I remember one of my sessions where 300 people were sitting, and I started my session with a silence, 30-second silence, making eye contact with everyone. Then I asked what you are thinking, why I was silent. So that is how we can communicate with the people.
Absolutely. Silence is golden. Yeah, and it's one of the most difficult techniques to use in public.
I would like to take this opportunity.
But that speaks more.
I'm from Malaysia, and I've been listening nearly every week, attending to most of the sessions,
Yeah.
most of the time. And I find this one on negotiation skill a very good one. And it did open us up. And I think at the end of the day, it is case by case study, case by case scenario when it comes to negotiation skills. Thank you very much for a beautiful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's really great. Awesome. So anybody wanted to add something? Okay. So, Sadi,
Hi, Swarleen. This is Mandeep here from Pune. Thank you so much for the session. Just I was thinking, like you explained the scenario, that entire case study. If you have some video recording of, you can actually showcase some role plays when it is actually happening. Because listening to how the body language what the body language will be versus
Yeah.
actually seeing what is happening, that will probably prepare us more and give us some more insight. So
Yes.
if sometimes you can plan to do some session with some role plays, or that will
I would
help us
be
a lot.
happy to do that. That's my favorite part of doing the role play, and I'd love to do that. Definitely. Thank you
Sure.
for your.
Thank you so much.
Mandeep ji, you will have to do ICMIC meeting. I think that is the best way to learn.
Yes. Yes, I'm attending I am based in Pune, so I will be part of the
Okay.
Pune session tomorrow. I attended 2 weeks back as well. So
Great.
we'll do.
great. Even
Thank you.
G has written some comment in the chat box about the psychology behind this negotiation and the body language, which is really plays a major role. So thank you, Sujit ji. And now I would like to thank Swarleen Kaur ji for this amazing and productive session, which was truly a wonderful, knowledgeable session for everyone. So I would like to give a certificate of the respected speaker and thank her for taking time for everyone. And I would like to share certificate on the screen, and here it is. Unmute yourself and applaud for her.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you means a lot.
That's really wonderful. And, thank you, everyone. It was
Thank
a
you.
energetic session.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.